you can achieve great things, right? You can walk into business meetings, dominate, get what you want, and get out, right? Because you know this is just some guy in a suit, right? This is some weakling that just talks a lot behind the desk. I've just finished dealing with real killers, real gangsters trying to murder me, right? He can't do to me, right? And you think that translates into that kind of mind frame, right? If you use it the right way. Drivers Mate Podcast! Or Drivers Mate Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate your time as always. Like, feedback and everything you guys are giving is great, right? I never thought I'd be doing something like this. And it's quite entertaining, not only for you, but for me, right? On the playback and during. Because what did you do on your long commutes, right? In between work? Nothing. You listen to someone else talking nonsense. So for today, you get to listen to me talking nonsense. And hopefully, I entertain you decently, right? And maybe even educate you about something. Who knows? It's not really my job to do. But anyway, main channel at CNC What I'm doing today is a reaction style video. And what I do in these videos is I hop on YouTube, I click a YouTube short at random, and you get my initial reaction and an opinion if I have one. So let's go.
You know what doesn't feel good is not taking any risks. That shit is so boring. I'm very in belief that fear is such a guiding thing in life, you know what I mean? Like, the more you do the things you're afraid of, the more you see that what you're afraid of is all bullshitting in your head. You know what doesn't feel good is not taking it.
Okay. That's okay. A little bit of a motivational speak or something. I don't know what that is. But yeah, fear, right? So fear. Is that essentially what you said? Let's hear what you said again, because I wasn't really paying attention.
It's so boring. I'm very in belief that fear is such a guiding thing in life, you know what I mean? Like, the more you...
that's what he said, not taking risks, right? So fear. What is fear? Let's get a little bit of anecdotal philosophical ideology right around fear. What is fear? So the great Customato, yeah, if that's how you say his name, a boxing trainer and coach of Mike Tyson and many other boxers, he had a saying that he said something like this: every fighter experiences fear when they go in the ring, but the difference is that fear is like a fire, right? And if you let it get out of control, it burns things down and it will basically destroy you, right? But if you get that fear under control as a fire, you can use it to cook, yeah? You can build stuff around your fire. So basically, what he's trying to say is fear is an emotion, is a thing we all experience, but it's our perception of fear is what makes the difference, right? And of course, like, from a stoic point of view, it's never the situation or what's happened to you that bothers you. It's your perception of what's happened. It's your subjective viewpoint of what's happened that bothers you, that makes you feel fear or not, right? Because another person, given your circumstances, may not experience the same feelings, may not have the same thoughts and understanding of the scenario as you, right? So that's a given. So when we talk about fear, he's saying it like you should use fear for good, right? Which you should, right? And I'm not saying I use fear like Batman. You know, and that comedian was like, Batman's like, fear is spreading, so I become fear, right? You know what I mean? There's an old joke. Anyway, that's another thing. But the idea of fear itself as an emotion, as a thought, as a chemical reaction in your body, right? Because fear induces fight, flight, or freeze, right? They're the three reactions that fear usually induces in a person. Fear is not just an emotion, it's actually a chemical reaction. Like, I know most of your emotions are a chemical reaction, but fear is a very visceral chemical reaction in your body, right? So when it comes to dealing with fear and getting over things, right, and encountering obstacles that put fear into you, there's only two things you can do, right? You can let fear repel you from wherever it is you're going, whatever you're trying to achieve, or you can let fear propel you. Now, there's a time for both. I wouldn't advise anyone going through life being motivated by fear, right? Because negative motivation only has its time limit. Now, you can use that energy before it becomes toxic, right? And you are now in a perpetual cycle of seeking your own demise in order to propel you forward, right? You don't want to experience that. But at the same time, if there's a goal and there's a barrier between you and your goal, and that barrier is something you're fearful of, it is wiser to go forth and break through that barrier, right? So every time you hear that little voice in your head, or that little heart skip, or that nervousness, that sweat that's telling you this is scary, right? I don't know if I should do this. That's your cue, right? If it's not something that's going to potentially kill you or destroy your life, of course, because like I said, fight, fright, fleas, or freeze, right? You should hear that little voice in your head, that feeling, accept it and say to yourself, that's me being a bitch. This fear means this is something I need to do, right? And the minute you take a step forward through that fear, with that fear, right, you've now leveled up, right? Your mentality, your physical existence, whatever it is you're going forward towards, has now stepped up a level, right? And you've added a golden brick in your wall of confidence, your self-belief, because you overcame this. Now your little wins, your little battles against fear that you achieve and you win, right, they build you up, and that confidence translates into other things, right? It actually becomes confidence. You will say to yourself, all right, I'll give you a scenario. You come from an estate kind of life, right? And you live a very street life, but you're not a gangster, right? You're just in the mix with friends and family and whatnot. You're just on the ends like everybody else, right? Now, something happens, right? And something violent happens to you or your friends, and you're in a mad situation, and there's intimidation, there's fear, there's physical harm, there's emotional harm, there's trauma. But you get through that situation, right? You survive that situation and you get to the other side of that. Now, there's two things that happens with that trauma and that experience, right? You can use that trauma and that experience to be like, look, I've experienced this level of pain, this level of trauma, this level of abuse, right? So this obstacle I'm about to encounter doesn't measure up anywhere near this, right? So I can do this. This is nothing to me, right? And that translates into, if you use that for a positive effect, right, with positive intentions and good energy, you can achieve great things, right? You can walk into business meetings, dominate, get what you want and get out, right? Because you know this is just some guy in a suit, right? This is some weakling that just talks a lot behind the desk. I've just finished dealing with real killers, real gangsters trying to murder me, right? He can't do to me, right? And you think that translates into that kind of mind frame, right? If you use it the right way. Now, if you use that the wrong way, you'll never be able to move past that fear, right? Past that trauma, past that experience. That will, that chemical reaction will permeate in your mind for a long time, and it will degrade into depression and other mental issues, right? Not to say that even though you use that trauma and that pain and that fear for something good, it doesn't still have a long-term effect, because it does, right? But the difference is it can shut someone down, right? And they become timid shells of who they once were, from not conquering the fear, right? From not moving through their fear. That is what happens, right? If you don't use it positively. And that negative experience with fear, it colours the way you see life, and it always plays a part in your decision making. And not only your own decision making, you will project your fears onto other people, right? There's an experiment that happened, I'm not sure when it happened, but maybe it's just a theorized experiment. But anyway, there's a room, right, full of monkeys. They put a room full of apes in there. Don't matter how many apes are in there, they're in there, right? And they dangle a set of bananas from the roof, right? Now, initially, the monkeys see the bananas and like, yeah, fucking there's bananas, we're gonna go get the bananas, right? And one jumps up and grabs a bunch of bananas, and as soon as he does that, the person doing the experiment switches on the water hose and sprays them, right? Like really traumatically sprays them, right? Now, he tries again, or another monkey tries again, right? Sprays again. Eventually, the monkeys realize that if they go for these bananas, they get sprayed, right? So they stop going for the bananas. So what then happens is, that is fear, right? Based on the fear and like Pavlovian conditioning. So what then happens, the experimenters take out some of the monkeys and put in a new set of monkeys, right? But with some of the monkeys from the first experiment. So the new set of monkeys jump up there, grab it, get sprayed, right? Bang down, right? It happens a couple times. And then on the third time in the experiment, when they switch out, no, I think they leave majority of the monkeys that experienced the first two experiments, right? And they put in one new monkey that hasn't. So when that new monkey gets in that room and it sees the bananas and the ladder and it goes to go for the bananas, the other monkeys stop it, right? No, sorry, I made a mistake there. So they swap out the monkeys, right, in various times for various different versions of the experiment, right? And eventually in the room there's no monkeys that got sprayed, right? But all of the monkeys carry the fear of their predecessors of being sprayed, so they stop anybody from ever jumping up to get the bananas, right? Although they've never experienced being sprayed. That was the crux of that, what I was trying to say, even though I messed it up a little bit, right? But that's actually a thing out there, you can go find it out. But you not embracing the fear and letting that fear affect you negatively, you become like that scenario, right? Your fear will project onto your children, to your friends, and other strangers that you don't know, and you will inadvertently or subconsciously stop them from being all they can be or doing whatever it is they want to do because of your fear, right? And they've never experienced being sprayed, and the chances are, if they did experience being sprayed, they may have still gone for the bananas anyway, or the goal, the proverbial goal anyway, right? So that's what you need to understand when it comes to fear. So it's better to take the blow now, right? If you're scared and something crazy has happened or gonna happen, it's better to just take it up front, right? Like, bam, right, I've got through that, it's done, right? I can get on the other side. Like, if you've got an operation or something coming up that you're scared about, right? Just go, get it done now, right? Don't worry about it. Once it's done, it's done. You know what I'm saying? There's some kind of business or school activity that needs to be done and completed. Just do it now. And the scale of fear shrinks down. And not only does it shrink down, you overcome, you achieve, and you add to your goal, you add to your winning mindset, you add to your small victories, and that translates to bigger victories. If you let that fear conquer you, you will be suppressed and oppressed by yourself, right? Your own fear of what external things can happen and affect you, right? Which is wrong. Man is supposed to move through life affecting change, not being affected by change, right? If you can, you should, right? If you understand that in yourself, you know, as we said in the beginning, it's your subjective viewpoint of the situation. So if your subjective viewpoint of the situation changes, it should change to benefit you, right? And not the situation, okay? So yeah, with that in mind, fear is a tool, right? And obviously a good anecdote and a good book for like a layman kind of thing is 50 Cent and Robert Greene's The 50th Law, right? A lot of the stuff in that is about fear and how 50 Cent interacted with his situations and what can come out of it, right? That's a good thing to look at if you care, right? And an anecdote I think I remember from the beginning of that book is a story about Miles Davis, right? And Miles Davis, as a kid, he saw the stove top with fire, right? I believe, like he saw a stove with fire on it, right? And he touched the fire, and then from then on, it ignited a fear, right? I can't remember the exact anecdote, but the thing is this: as a child, you're unaware of the fear, of pain, of the danger, right? But once you experience the danger, experience the pain, right? You now know not to do that, right? Do you understand? But it's not to say you should never use a stove again. You should just never put your hand in the stove. Do you understand, right? But anyway, that was a long diatribe. But what I'm trying to say is this: it's right that when you do feel fear, you should embrace it, move through it, right? And let that add on another piece of armor to your mental stability, your strength as a man or woman, whatever trials you face and hardship in life. You know, I've defeated this fear, right? I've defeated this looming thing that was over me for a long time, right? So whatever you're coming up to me to do, whatever's going to happen in the future, I know I can handle it, right? And you move forward with that confidence. And you embrace that. You're like, yeah, you lot think you're bad, you lot ain't lived nothing yet, right? Watch how I handle this situation. That's how it develops you. So anyway, it's my 2 cents on that, right? But yeah, tell me what you think in the comments. Did I go in enough? Did I really cover what was said properly, or did I miss something? Because obviously emotions and the way are like neurons fire and stuff like that. change, right? For different people, it's different things, right? And there's different states. Anyway, I'll save that for another video. But basically, that fear, that love, that anger, that hate, that pain, it's all chemical reactions in your brain, right? And the neurons fire in different ways in different parts of your mind that tell you to link this experience, this memory to this emotion, right? Now, if you break through that, right, you can reprogram your mind chemically, right, to not feel this emotion, this pain, this fear whenever dealing with this situation, because you've overcome it already, right? Anyway, that's nonsense that you probably don't care about. But here we go. Thank you for your time. At CNCCMI, my main channel, don't forget to check that out. And also, like, subscribe and share. It helps with the algorithm, helps channels like mine permeate the internet, keeping real people real, freedom of speech free. And also check out the rest of the videos in the playlist, man. This isn't the best podcast. The one I made before this is better than this, and the one I made before that is better than that. But actually, the one I'm going to make next is even better than all of them, right? So just keep that in mind. Thank you for your time. Travis Mate Podcast. See you later.